At the beginning of the movie, we get to a small village in the county of Dorset in England. Against the backdrop of sunset scenery, a guy named Andy Cobb finishes chopping wood and heads home. The village is home to many writers who are hard at work, enjoying their surroundings and looking to them for inspiration. One of the men, named Nicholas Hardyman, describes on paper his cooling down towards his spouse. Two high school girls, Jody Long and Casey Shaw, sit at the bus stop, flipping through magazines and deciding what to do for the day. Meanwhile, Nicholas' wife, Beth Hardyman, treats the newly arrived Glenn to her baked goods. Suddenly, Casey spots a cab, which is a rarity in the village. The girl who arrives is Nadia, who calls Nicholas and asks how soon he will tell his wife about her. The nervous man is surprised that she showed up in the village and asks to give him at least a couple of hours to do so. Beth brings her husband baked goods and notices that he is acting strangely. The woman takes an active part in writing the book, which annoys Nicholas. Beth continues to treat everyone to sweets and offers to try Andy's treats. The woman tells them that Glenn has come to the village to write a book about Thomas Gardy, and he will need the help of a simple village boy. Andy notices that Beth is upset about something. Meanwhile, Jody and her friend continue to have fun, dirtying a passing car's windshield. Tamara Drewe gets out of the car and is angry, but continues her journey. The heroine arrives at Wynnett's farm, which was her mother's. Casey tells her friend that she will be helping out at the writers' dinner in the evening. Many criticize Glenn for writing about the boring Gardy, but admit to being jealous of being published. Beth brings her husband into the conversation when he refuses to eat dinner together. The woman guesses that Nicholas is seeing someone. When the man admits it, Beth loses her temper and says that if he leaves for her now, he may never come home again. The rest of the writers watch in mute shock as the scene unfolds. The woman tells them that Beth does almost all the work for her husband, so it's no wonder he's getting bored. However, the woman hopes that the wife will be able to take away some of Nicholas's property. The man, meanwhile, arrives at Nadia's house and irritably says that he intended to be with her in London from time to time, and that a fight with his wife is not good for him. Tamara drives past Nicholas and enters a local inn. The heroine meets Zoe and tells her that she has lived here before. When Tamara leaves to go to her room, Andy sits down at the bar. After what he saw at Nicholas's, he is convinced that marriage is a rotten swamp. In her room, Tamara takes a bath and scrutinizes her nose. At breakfast, Glenn questions Andy about how long the Hardymans have lived in the village. When a distraught Beth appears, the men fall silent. Glenn agrees that the woman's husband is a very bad man. Andy tries to reassure Beth, but the lady doesn't accept sympathy and quickly leaves. While in the restroom, Glenn accidentally overhears Nicholas reconciling with his wife. Soon a strong alarm is heard in the meadow. Andy goes with Glenn to the Wynnett's farm where the sound is coming from. The boy tells that it used to belong to his family. Near the house, Andy suddenly notices Tamara, who used to possess a huge nose. The guy helps to disable the alarm system and tells her that he now works as a gardener. Tamara in turn reveals the purpose of her arrival, to sell the house. Returning back, Andy recalls his affair with the heroine 10 years ago. Jody, looking through a magazine, notices a picture of Ben Sargent, a famous drummer and songwriter in the same band. The girl tells her friend that she is crazy about him. Meanwhile, Tamara decides to sneak into a writer's party to say hello to her former neighbors. Everyone is amazed at how much prettier the heroine has gotten just by getting rid of her big nose. Beth is angry that Tamara looks good and emphasizes it with her clothes. Glenn is surprised that the heroine, in addition to working as a journalist, also plans to write her novel before the age of 30. The man offers Andy to marry Tamara to get a beautiful spouse and, in addition, a family nest. However, the guy thinks that he is too bad for the heroine. Besides, he himself once abandoned her. Meanwhile, Nicholas admires Tamara through the hedge, remembering that he did not take her seriously before. Glenn, passing by, advises him not to even dream of a heroine. Beth parses and answers her husband's fan mail. Glenn comes to her and complains of a creative crisis. Feeling sympathetic, Beth offers to see the man's work sometime and help him. Meanwhile, with her permission, Andy goes to the heroine's house to help in its arrangement. The guy is amazed by the beauty of Tamara, who is going to work. The heroine gets backstage and watches Ben during the concert. The guy quarrels with his lead singer and is about to leave. From someone else's push, Ben inadvertently falls on the heroine. Tamara does not lose her composure and with a smile offers an interview. Amazed by her resourcefulness and beauty, Ben agrees. Jody and Casey, who did not get to the concert, are surprised to notice the guy in the village and try to catch up with his car. However, Ben does not stop until Tamara's house and introduces her to his dog named Boss. A stormy passion erupts between him and the heroine almost immediately. Early in the morning, Andy picks mushrooms and comes to visit Tamara. However, the guy quickly notices men's clothes and loud noises from the second floor. Angry, Andy leaves and scatters the collected mushrooms. Fall is coming. Beth, doing some mending, listens to Glenn's story about Gardy. The woman finds it turns out to be very entertaining, so she advises Glenn to write the book as if he were telling something to a friend. A man grows increasingly close to Beth and is angry with Nicholas. Jody is still following Ben, who lives together with Tamara. This fact very much dislikes Eddie, but he still helps the heroine with the house. To relieve stress and forget, the guy comes to Zoe. Eddie believes that Tamara has become empty and lost her personality. Soon Ben makes the heroine a proposal, and she gladly agrees. Beth believes that Tamara chose such a guy because her father left the family early. However, Nicholas contemptuously calls it primitive psychology and asks her not to talk too much. The man closely observes Tamara, wanting to possess her. The heroine is surprised that the ring is not enough for her, and learns that Ben originally bought it for another girl. The guy manages to calm Tamara down and cheer her up. Nicholas secretly continues to watch the heroine. Winter is coming. Jody notices Ben's car and offers to do something about it. Meanwhile, at a writer's party, Glenn decides to compliment Beth's food, but does so rather ineptly and berates himself. Jody gets to Tamara's house, knowing no one is there, and decides to explore. Ben is visibly nervous, feeling strange at the writer's party. At this time, Jody puts on his clothes and has fun. The girlfriends manage to escape before the hosts return home. Ben is angry that they live in the countryside and suggests they leave. At first, Tamara insists that her novel is better written here, but then gives in. Andy tells Glenn that the heroine will put the house on the market in the spring. During their absence, Jody and her friend show up at the house frequently. On Valentine's Day, the girl decides to write Ben a passionate message using Tamara's mail. However, by accident, Jody sends it to almost everyone in the village. Andy is confused by the fact that the offer to sleep together came to both him and Zoe at the same time. Beth is very angry and speculates aloud that this is a bad joke, since Tamara is hardly interested in someone like her husband. This conversation is inadvertently overheard by Nicholas himself. Ben is angry, believing that such a message was sent to everyone by Andy. When Tamara defends her friend, the guy goes to his former lady lover for a visit, as she is expecting a baby. Soon the news about it appears in the newspapers, and Tamara returns to the village. Jody is very upset, realizing that since Ben has left the heroine, it means that he will definitely not return to this place. At home, Tamara reads a nice note from Andy, after which she quarrels with Nicholas, who insists on a visit. The heroine goes to a bar and notices Zoe and Andy kissing. This greatly upsets Tamara, and she cries, feeling that she is left all alone. The next day, Nicholas visits the sad heroine and plays night games with her. The man realizes that Tamara agreed to these games because of her grief, but the result itself is important to him. Nicholas returns home in an elevated mood and pleases Beth with gifts. Spring is coming. Glenn returns to the Hardiman house and is delighted to see the landlady. Nicholas still meets with Tamara and helps her in writing a novel. However, the heroine realizes that the man agrees to watch her writings only for a reward. Jody and her friend are bored again during the vacation. The girls decide to check if Tamara is all right, as she has not been seen for a long time. However, they are prevented from approaching the house by Andy, who has driven up. The guy invites the heroine to dinner, but notices Nicholas's scarf on her coat rack and leaves annoyed. Jody unexpectedly sees Tamara kissing a man right on her doorstep. Casey says she feels sorry for Beth, who doesn't know anything. The girls decide to give Nicholas' car a flat tire. A man calls Beth and says he is stuck on the road. The woman senses a catch, since she did not hear the noise of cars. Nicholas kisses the heroine, and this manages to photograph Casey. However, the girl does not want to send the picture to Beth, as it could break her life. Jody once again breaks into Tamara's house and reads a letter from Ben. The guy writes that the former lady's child was not from him, and now he is free again. Jody writes back, asking Ben to return to the village to visit a girl named Jody. Casey criticizes her friend for her behavior and leaves. Soon Nicholas goes to his mistress. The man drives through a puddle and pours water on Casey. The girl is very angry and sends a photo of his cheating to Beth. Having received the picture, the woman drops the dough for the cake she was going to bake in honor of Glenn. Andy criticizes the heroine for her act. After this, and after Beth's words at Nicholas' performance, Tamara breaks up with him. Jody meets Ben and confesses to him all her craziness. Glenn comforts Beth, admitting that he admires her. Their kiss is noticed by Nicholas. Beth demands a divorce and plans to sue him for the house. Tamara, returning home, notices Jody and Ben in the kitchen. Nicholas has an argument with Glenn and accidentally hits Head. Ben's dog once again chases the cows. Glenn tries to save Beth's husband, but he fails. When she sees Nicholas, the woman cries and breaks Tamara's nose out of anger. Andy tries to comfort the heroine, but she runs away in tears and admits that she broke up with Ben. Glenn wants to run away, but still finds the strength to stay with Beth to support her. Ben says goodbye to his dog and tearfully hugs Jody, who comes to love it. Andy and Tamara finally realize they love each other. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.